There is a quietness that comes when you stop trying to hold everything together. A stillness that settles over the mind when you realize that most of what you've been gripping so tightly was never yours to keep. This is not resignation. This is not weakness. This is the beginning of real strength. The Stoics understood something profound about human suffering. They understood that we do not suffer because the world is cruel, but because we insist the world be different than it is. We suffer because we cling. We cling to people who have already chosen to leave. We cling to outcomes we cannot guarantee. We cling to versions of ourselves that no longer exist. And in that clinging, we create our own chains. The philosophy of letting go is not about abandoning care or surrendering your values. It is about releasing the illusion that you can control what was never within your power to control. Epictetus taught that there are things within our control and things outside of it. Within our control are our thoughts, our intentions, our responses, our character. Outside of our control is nearly everything else. The weather, the past, other people's choices, the outcome of our efforts, the opinions held about us, the length of our lives. And yet we spend our days exhausting ourselves trying to manage what cannot be managed. Trying to force reality into shapes it will not hold. Letting go begins with a simple recognition. You are not in control of as much as you think you are. And this recognition, rather than weakening you, frees you. When you stop demanding that life bend to your will, you stop breaking yourself against it. You stop wasting energy on battles that cannot be won. You stop bleeding from wounds that are self-inflicted. The Stoic does not collapse in despair at this truth. The Stoic finds peace in it. Because if you are not responsible for controlling the uncontrollable, then you are free to focus on what actually matters. Your own mind, your own virtue, your own response to whatever comes. Consider how much of your suffering comes from attachment. Not love, not care, but attachment. The desperate need for things to remain as they are, the insistence that a person continue to feel for you what they once felt, the demand that your efforts always succeed, the expectation that life owe you fairness. Attachment is the belief that your peace depends on external conditions staying exactly as you want them. And because nothing external ever stays the same, attachment guarantees suffering. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, reminded himself that everything is fleeting. The people you love will die. The things you build will crumble. The body you inhabit will fail. This is not pessimism. This is reality. And the Stoic faces reality without flinching. When you attach your happiness to something outside yourself, you give away your power. You make yourself a hostage. If your peace depends on someone loving you, then you are not free. If your worth depends on success, then every failure becomes an existential threat. If your identity depends on how others see you, then you live at the mercy of opinions that shift like sand. The Stoics understood that this kind of dependency is a form of slavery, not imposed by others, but by yourself. You have chained your inner state to outer circumstances. Outer circumstances are, by nature, uncontrollable. Letting go is the act of breaking those chains. It is the decision to stop outsourcing your peace to things that were never designed to provide it. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing. There is a profound difference. You can love someone deeply without needing them to complete you. You can work toward a goal with full effort without needing it to succeed for you to have value. You can appreciate beauty without clinging to it when it fades. The Stoic loves fully, works diligently, and appreciates deeply, but does not cling. Because clinging turns love into possession, effort into anxiety, and appreciation into desperation. Seneca wrote often about the shortness of life and the foolishness of wasting it on things that do not matter. He observed that we are miserly with our money, but reckless with our time and energy. We allow ourselves to be consumed by grudges, by regrets, by the need to be right, by the desperate attempt to change people who do not wish to change. We hold on to anger as if it is a treasure. We replay old wounds as if repetition will somehow heal them. We rehearse conversations that will never happen. Imagine victories over people who have forgotten we exist, and chain ourselves to versions of the past. that exist only in our minds. Letting go is the refusal to carry what no longer serves you. It is looking at the weight you have been dragging and asking, honestly, why you are still holding it. Resentment towards someone who wronged you years ago. What purpose does it serve? Regret over a choice that cannot be undone. What does it change? The need to prove yourself to people whose opinions do not matter. What does it give you? The Stoic does not hold on to these things out of strength, but releases them out of strength. Because it takes more courage to let go than to hold on. Holding on is easy. It is familiar. It is the path of least resistance. Letting go requires you to face the discomfort of uncertainty, the vulnerability of not knowing what comes next, the humility of admitting that you were wrong to cling in the first place. There is a common understanding about Stoic detachment. People hear the word detachment and think it means coldness, indifference, a refusal to care. But this is not what the Stoics meant. Detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the absence of dependency. It is the ability to engage with life fully without being controlled by it, to love without possession, to strive without desperation, to lose without collapse. The Stoic does not harden their heart. They free it. They free it from the prison of expectation, from the tyranny of need, from the burden of trying to control what cannot be controlled. Imagine a tree in a storm. The tree that is rigid, that refuses to bend, that insists the wind should not blow, will break. The tree that bends, that allows the wind to pass through it, that does not resist what it cannot change, survives. This is the Stoic way. Not rigidity, but flexibility. Not indifference, but acceptance. Not collapse, but adaptation. The Stoic does not pretend the storm is not happening. They acknowledge it fully. They feel it fully. But they do not break themselves trying to stop it. They bend, they adjust, they endure. And when the storm passes, they are still standing. Letting go is particularly difficult when it comes to people. We want so badly to believe that if we just hold on long enough, if we just love hard enough, if we just prove ourselves enough, the person will change. They will see our worth. They will choose us. They will become who we need them to be. But people are not projects. They are not puzzles to solve or problems to fix. They are autonomous beings with their own paths, their own lessons, their own freedom. And no amount of clinging will change that. Epictetus was blunt about this. He taught that we do not own other people. Not their thoughts, not their choices, not their presence in our lives. They are on loan to us, and the loan can be called back at any time. To rage against this is to rage against the nature of existence itself. When you truly let someone go, you release them from the prison of your expectations. You stop demanding they be something they are not. You stop resenting them for being human. You stop trying to control their feelings, their choices, their life. And in doing so, you also release yourself. Because as long as you are holding on to them, you are not free either. You are tethered. Your peace depends on their behavior. Your worth depends on their validation. Your happiness depends on their presence. This is not love. This is bondage, and it binds both of you. Letting go of a person does not mean you stop caring about them. It means you stop making your inner peace conditional on them. You can wish them well and still walk away. You can acknowledge what they meant to you and still accept that the chapter has closed. You can carry gratitude for what was without clinging to what is no longer. The Stoic understands that everything has a season. Relationships, phases of life, versions of yourself. And when the season ends, the wise person does not try to force spring to stay. They let autumn come. They let the leaves fall. They trust that new growth will come when it is meant to. One of the deepest forms of clinging is the clinging to the past. To who you used to be, to what you used to have, to how things used to feel. The past is a ghost. It has no substance. It cannot be touched or changed or reclaimed, and yet we haunt ourselves with it. We replay moments over and over, wishing they had gone differently. We imagine alternate versions of our lives where we made different choices, where we were smarter or braver or luckier. We carry guilt for mistakes we made years ago, as if punishing ourselves now will somehow undo them. We hold on to identities that no longer fit, relationships that no longer exist, dreams that are no longer ours. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself again and again that the past is gone and the future is not yet here. All we have is this moment. And in this moment, we have a choice. We can continue to live in the prison of what was, or we can step into the freedom of what is. Letting go of the past is not forgetting. It is not pretending it did not happen. It is releasing the need for it to have been different. It is accepting that it unfolded exactly as it did, and that you cannot go back and rewrite it. The person you were then did the best they could with the awareness they had. And now you are someone else. Wiser, perhaps. Scarred? Certainly, but different. And this person, the one you are now, deserves to live free from the ghosts of who you used to be. The same applies to the future. We cling to expectations about how things should unfold. We build elaborate stories in our minds about how our lives will go, how people will respond, how our efforts will be rewarded. And when reality does not match the story, we suffer. Not because reality is cruel, but because we insisted it follow a script it never agreed to. The Stoic does not cling to outcomes. They focus on effort, on intention, on virtue. They do their best and then release the results. Because the results are not up to them. You can prepare thoroughly for a presentation and still have it go poorly. You can be kind to someone and still have them reject you. You can work hard toward a goal and still fail. This does not mean your effort was meaningless. It means the outcome was never yours to control. Letting go of expectations does not mean lowering your standards or abandoning your goals. It means holding your goals lightly. It means striving fully while accepting that the universe is under no obligation to comply with your plans. It means doing what is right because it is right, not because you are guaranteed a reward. It means being kind because kindness is its own value, not because kindness guarantees reciprocation. It means living with integrity because integrity is who you are, not because integrity guarantees success. The Stoic finds freedom in this. They are no longer at the mercy of outcomes. They are no longer devastated by disappointment. Because their worth is not tied to external validation. It is rooted in something deeper. In character, in virtue. In the quality of their own mind, there is a particular kind of suffering that comes from ego. The ego clings to being right. It clings to being respected. It clings to being seen in a certain way. It clings to winning, to being better, to being validated. And because the ego's needs are insatiable, they can never be fully met. You can win 100 arguments and still feel the sting of the one you lost. You can be praised by 1,000 people and still obsess over the one who criticized you. You can achieve tremendous success and still feel empty because the ego always wants more. It always needs more. It always demands more. Letting go of ego is one of the most liberating acts a person can undertake. It is the recognition that you do not need to be right all the time. You do not need to be admired by everyone. You do not need to win every battle or have the last word in every argument. Your value as a human being is not determined by how often you are validated or how rarely you are. Criticized Seneca spoke about the foolishness of living for the approval of others. He pointed out that most people do not even approve of themselves, so why would you give them power over your peace? Why would you let someone else's opinion dictate your worth? The Stoic knows that external approval is unstable, unreliable, and ultimately irrelevant. What matters is internal approval. Living in a way that you can respect, acting in alignment with your values. Being able to look at yourself honestly and know that you did what was right, even when it was hard. This is the only approval that matters. And it is the only approval that is fully within your control. Letting go of the need to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be praised, is a profound shift. It frees you from performing. It frees you from the exhausting work of managing how others perceive you. It allows you to simply be, to act from authenticity rather than strategy, to speak truth rather than what will be well received, to make choices based on what is right rather than what will be applauded. The Stoic does not seek the spotlight. They do not need the crowd's approval. They know who they are, and that is enough. Consider how much of your mental energy is spent on things that do not matter, worrying about what someone thinks of you, replaying a conversation and wishing you had said something different, imagining future scenarios and rehearsing your responses, holding on to grudges that do nothing but poison your own mind. The Stoics were ruthless about eliminating waste. Not just physical waste, but mental and emotional waste. They understood that attention is a finite resource, and that spending it on things you cannot control is a form of self-sabotage. Every moment you spend ruminating on the past is a moment stolen from the present. Every moment you spend anxious about the future is a moment you're not fully here. Letting go is a practice of reclaiming your attention. It is choosing again and again to return to what is within your control. Your breath, your posture, your thoughts, your response. When you notice yourself clinging to something that does not serve you, you gently release it. Not with violence, not with self-judgment, but with patience, with compassion, with the understanding that clinging is a habit, and habits take time to change. The Stoic does not expect perfection. They expect progress. They expect effort. They expect the willingness to try again, even after they fail. There is something deeply powerful about a person who has let go. They move through the world differently. They are not reactive. They are not desperate. They are not easily shaken, because they have internalized a truth that most people resist their entire lives. They do not control the world. They only control themselves. And that is enough. When you stop trying to control what cannot be controlled, you reclaim an enormous amount of energy. Energy that was being wasted on anxiety, on manipulation, on resistance. That energy can now be directed toward what actually matters: growth, presence, contribution, peace. Letting go does not mean you stop setting boundaries. It does not mean you tolerate mistreatment or accept injustice. The Stoic is not a doormat. They are not passive. They act when action is appropriate. They speak when words are needed. They stand firm when their values are challenged. But they do not cling to the outcome of their actions. They do their part and then release the results. They defend what is right without needing to be proven right. They stand up for themselves without needing the other person to admit fault. They walk away from what no longer serves them without needing closure or apology or explanation. They do what must be done and then let it go. One of the most difficult things to let go of is the need for fairness, the belief that the world should be just, that good people should be rewarded and bad people should be punished, that effort should guarantee results, that kindness should be returned. But the world does not operate this way. It never has. Marcus Aurelius faced this daily. He was an emperor surrounded by corruption, betrayal, incompetence. He could have spent his life bitter and resentful. Instead, he reminded himself that people act according to their nature, that expecting a selfish person to be selfless is like expecting a fig tree to produce olives. It is not going to happen, and raging against it is pointless. The Stoic accepts the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. This does not mean they approve of injustice. It means they do not let injustice steal their peace. They do what they can to make things better, and they release what they cannot change. They focus on their own character, their own choices, their own integrity, because that is the only thing they truly control. You cannot control whether people treat you fairly. You can only control whether you treat others fairly. You cannot control whether your efforts are recognized. You can only control whether you give your best effort. You cannot control whether life is kind to you. You can only control whether you remain kind in the face of life's cruelty. Letting go is an act of profound self-respect. It is saying, I will not diminish myself by clinging to what does not want to stay. I will not beg for love, for respect, for acknowledgement. I will not twist myself into shapes I do not recognize just to be accepted. I will not carry burdens that are not mine to carry. I will not waste my life trying to control what was never mine to control. The Stoic understands that their dignity is non-negotiable. It is not dependent on how they are treated. It is not given by others and therefore cannot be taken by others. It is inherent. It is theirs. And it remains intact as long as they act with integrity, regardless of how the world responds. There is a quiet strength in this, a groundedness. The person who is let go is not easily manipulated because they are not desperate. They are not easily angered because they do not take things personally. They are not easily broken because they have released their attachment to outcomes. They move through life with a calm authority that comes not from control, but from acceptance. They do not need to dominate. They do not need to prove. They do not need to win. They are simply present, fully engaged, but not attached. This is the paradox of Stoic philosophy. The less you cling, the more powerful you become. The less you need, the more you have. The less you resist, the more you endure. Relationships change dramatically when you stop clinging. When you love without attachment, you give the other person space to be fully themselves. You do not try to mold them or fix them or control them. You allow them their own path, their own mistakes, their own growth. And in that allowing, you create a kind of intimacy that clinging can never achieve. Because the other person feels seen, not possessed. Valued, not controlled. Loved, not needed. And you, in turn, remain whole. Your peace does not depend on their choices. Your worth does not depend on their validation. You are complete within yourself, and the relationship becomes an addition to your life, not the foundation of it. When someone leaves, when someone disappoints you, when someone changes, the person who has learned to let go does not collapse. They feel the pain. They honor the loss, but they do not cling to what is no longer there. They do not chase. They do not beg. They do not try to force someone to stay who has already chosen to go. They release them with grace. They thank them for what was and accept what is. And then they turn their attention back to themselves, to their own path, to their own growth. This is not coldness. This is wisdom. Because clinging to someone who does not want to stay only prolongs the suffering for both of you. The Stoics understood that loss is inevitable. Everyone you love will eventually be gone. Either they will leave, or you will, or death will separate you. This is not morbid. This is true. And because it is true, the wise person does not take presence for granted. They appreciate deeply while people are here, but they do not cling desperately, as if presence can be made permanent. They love fully, knowing that love does not require permanence. They engage completely, knowing that engagement does not require control. They give freely, knowing that giving does not require return. Letting go is not something you do once. It is something you do every day. Every time you notice yourself trying to control what you cannot control, you let go. Every time you find yourself replaying the past, you let go. Every time you feel yourself clinging to an outcome, you let go. It is a practice, a discipline, a choice made again and again. And each time you make that choice, you become a little freer, a little stronger, a little more at peace. The Stoic life is not a life of perfection. It is a life of continuous return. You will forget. You will cling. You will resist. And then you will remember. You will release. You will accept. And you will begin again. There is a reason the Stoics wrote so much about death. Not because they were obsessed with morbidity, but because death is the ultimate reminder that nothing is permanent, that everything you have will be taken, that everyone you love will be lost. And in facing this directly, without flinching, they found freedom. Because if you truly internalize that everything is temporary, you stop clinging to it. You appreciate it while it is here, and you release it when it is gone. You do not waste your days trying to make the impermanent permanent. You live fully in the time you have, knowing that time is limited. And that limitation is what makes it precious. Marcus Aurelius meditated on his own death regularly. He reminded himself that he was going to die, that everyone he loved was going to die, that everything he built would eventually crumble. And rather than this making him nihilistic or depressed, it made him present. It made him grateful. It made him focused on what actually mattered. Not fame or wealth or status, but virtue, character, the quality of his own mind. These are the only things that death cannot take from you, because they are the only things that are truly yours. Letting go does not mean giving up on life. It means giving up the illusion that you can control life. It means accepting that you are here for a limited time, that you have limited power, that you are subject to forces far greater than yourself. And in that acceptance, you find a kind of peace that resistance can never provide. You stop fighting reality. You stop exhausting yourself trying to hold back the tide. You stop breaking yourself against walls that will not move. Instead, you align yourself with the flow of existence. You do what is yours to do, and you release what is not. You act with intention, and you accept the outcome. You give your best. You let go of the results. The person who has truly let go is free in a way that most people never experience. They are not chained to the past. They are not anxious about the future. They are not dependent on others for their peace. They are not desperate for approval or validation or control. They are simply here now, fully present, fully engaged, fully alive. And when loss comes, as it inevitably will, they do not shatter. They bend. They grieve. They feel, but they do not cling to what is gone. They honor it, and they let it go. And they continue forward, carrying the lessons, but not the weak. This is the Stoic philosophy of letting go. Not as an escape from life, but as a full embrace of it. Not as a denial of feeling, but as a liberation from suffering. Not as weakness, but as the deepest form of strength. Because it takes no strength to cling. It takes tremendous strength to release. It takes no courage to hold on. It takes profound courage to let go. And it is in that release, in that letting go, that you discover who you truly are. Not defined by what you possess or who possesses you. Not defined by outcomes or achievements or the opinions of others. But defined by your own character, your own integrity, your own ability to remain grounded in the midst of chaos. Peace begins when control ends. Freedom comes from releasing what was never ours to hold. The Stoic who lets go becomes unshakable. Not because they are indifferent, but because they are no longer dependent. Not because they do not care, but because they do not cling. They move through the world with open hands, receiving what comes, releasing what goes, and remaining whole through it all. This is the path. This is the practice. This is the philosophy that has endured for thousands of years because it speaks to something essential in the human experience. The need to be free. The need to be at peace. The need to live without being controlled by forces outside ourselves. Let go. Not because you do not care, but because you care enough about yourself to stop suffering needlessly. Let go. Not because you are giving up, but because you are finally choosing yourself. Let go. And discover what remains when everything else falls away.